This channel is supported by Truefire.
Well, what is this all about then? It's the Truefire Summer Music Festival. What I'm going to tell you about, you can get 1 month of All Access for just $1. The All Access, you can dip in and out of every single course on Truefire, so that's a really great way to get some awesome courses down you.
Okay, so a couple of weeks ago I did a video just, talking about this gear purge idea. Now, you can skip past this part, but I think as, a working guitarist who also makes videos in my bedroom, some amount of this gear churn is just inevitable, and in order to make videos, sometimes you have to try things and all that sort of stuff. To me, my mind doesn't change too much about what gear I feel like I actually need, and it's basically this one guitar, right? My K-Line Springfield. If I could get rid of pretty much everything else and I'd still be happy with this guitar, right? So let's, I guess, get that out of the way. Just making videos in general is a thing. But anyway, you know what I mean. There's lots of gear that... Why do my trousers keep getting caught on that? That I, accumulate because people will send me gear to make videos on. It doesn't mean that this gear is not decent or whatever, and the videos that I would have made with it were my real thoughts. But it's just that this stuff is not getting played right now. The first guitar that came to mind was actually this Harley Benton. Now, I did get it out of the box the other day to do a video with it. It's kind of still pretty good. You think about how long it's taken Fender to start making some guitars with actual, proper stainless steel frets and stuff. Harley Benton have been doing it for years. This is their SG type guitar in it, obviously. Stainless steel frets. It's got a coil split, which I like. The action's a little high on this at the moment, but that could easily be tweaked. There is just absolutely nothing wrong with this guitar, and to be honest with you, what I would say about this sort of stuff is that I do think the cheaper end of the market is reasonably good enough that it's kind of hard to explain to a layperson, well, what makes these guitars different. Do you know what I mean? As guitarists, I think we have some idea, you feel a certain way about another type of guitar or whatever, but when you actually get down to the nitty-gritty, that's an actually pretty good guitar for the money. Now, if you're interested in that one, just let me know, just shoot me an email. I sold a few guitars from the last one. Both of the artist guitars are gone now. The Sterling Luke went, and people have kind of reached out and asked about certain pedals and stuff like that. So again, if you think of some pedals that you've seen on the channel that you're wondering, actually, I'd like to try that. Assuming it's mine, I had some people ask about a Kingsley Harlot. That's actually belongs to Andy, so I can't sell you the pedals, not mine, obviously. Kind of on the fence about this one. This is a Sterling Cutlass. Really lovely roasted maple neck, and essentially quite a stratty, I think. quite a stratty, I think, sounding guitar for a bit more modern. I like a lot about this guitar. There's really nothing that I don't like about it. It's just that, you know, if someone else out there wants to give this guitar more of a story, then you're welcome to. I'm tempted to try and gig this guitar, but again, if someone shoots me an email and says, you know, I'd be interested to try that one, then by all means, do so. And again, if you shoot an email and let me know what price you're willing to pay or whatever, we'll figure something out. Probably it makes sense to be in the UK for this, but this one I think sounds really good, looks really good. I just love a charcoal grey guitar. There is one little bit of a dent here that I put on the guitar, so it's not totally minty fresh, but I think this guitar deserves to be played, frankly. It sounds, I think, really good and plays really well. A very surprising guitar this was for me. You see the original videos with it. It's, I think, a good rival to something like a Fender Player. Talking of Fender, the Vintera 2. I guess another thing to talk about with some of this stuff is you could trade in these guitars, and I did trade in a few guitars last week. The price that you get for a trade-in generally tends to be a bit lower than what you might get if you sold it directly to someone, so that's kind of the motivation in some ways, is that I could give you a price somewhere between what I could trade it in for and somewhere between like the actual second-hand price for what our guitars would have seen very little use. So hopefully in some ways it might be a win-win. But anyway, this is the Vintera 2. I've done a few videos on this. I think it's my favourite spec Fender out of their main production lines. Quite a nice sort of chunky neck, 7.25 inch radius. The only sort of downside for me is that I think the fretwork could be slightly better. In the hands of a good tech, I think this guitar has a lot of potential, as well as it looks amazing. There's a gator case to go with it. But yeah, again, it's a Fender Vintera. But yeah, as I said, of all of the Strats that I tried earlier in the year, this one actually was the only one that when you compared it to like a Fender up the line, didn't actually end up feeling kind of cheaper or inferior in any way because of the neck shape being like so pleasant. Like against a Player 2, this stood out. Against an American Professional 2, this stood out. Even against like a American Vintage 2, I just like the way that this felt. Yeah, anyway, that's the Vintera 2. I've got plenty of Strats, so if you want that one, you can have it. Some of the more oddball guitars that you see on the channel occasionally, like this from Enya, so this is carbon fiber one. I've got two Enyas. If you're interested in them, then again, let me know. if you're interested in them, then again, let me know. And also, I've got 2 of those Donner guitars, like the headless things. So if you're interested in the more out there sort of all-in-one solutions, then feel free to let me know. I do think this actually sounds pretty good just as an electric guitar plugged in with none of the gubbins even turned on. That is the way that I preferred using these things. I think they actually play pretty well. John, if you're watching this, you're in Spain. I'm not sure if you're still totally interested in it, but if you are, let me know a price and then we'll see what we can do from there. This one I'm super on the fence about, but if you're not playing a guitar, I think you should at least offer up the possibility that... Someone out there might want to play it, but I probably won't say yes to this one going. But this is my K-Line San Bernardino. It's got a couple of marks on it where, you know, I can't remember what happened there, probably a dog, but this is a all nitro sort of affair. Same neck shape as my Springfield. Beautiful guitar, so probably I'll stop showing that now, because like anything that you've seen on the channel, like pedal wise, that you're interested in. So I've got Kernan pedals here, Tate Effects Antares, a brown Gritador, Nobels ODR Mini, because I've got the full size Nobels ODR, Nano Cortex if you want a Nano Cortex, Marshall 1959 Lee pedal. You know, if someone wants that, I'm not going to be using it. Nobels Del Mini, Nobels Del Chorus if you're looking for those mini pedals. J-Rocket Archer if you want one of them. This is the Jeff one. Yeah. And I've also got a J-Rocket Blue Note there. Also, if you saw the Game Changer audio pedals, you know, I've got all of those things. A lot of these things are not getting used, so if you're thinking, yeah, you know what I could do with that, you know, I've got a mortgage to pay and I've got this gear that's not getting used, so feel free to shoot me a message if you're thinking, yeah, some of that catches my fancy. As I say, the prices should be fairly reasonable. I'm not trying to rip anyone off, but, you know, in case any of you wanted any of this stuff, I can't keep everything. Cheers for stopping by, and yeah, shoot me an email. Best if you're in the UK, I think, maybe Europe. In the US at the moment, I think basically you might get stung with a huge shipping bill, so I'm trying to avoid that if at all possible.